looking at a lifetime forever, surviving from the strength of our love, 'cause there's more than enough, searching for the same destiny, me for you and you for me, like the stars in the sky, you're the sparkle in my eye, and like the shining sun above, well, I got to have your love, and we will never find an ending to our love. No, 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 no. We will never find an ending to our love. Oh, no, 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 to our love.
Hey, y'all, Sister Modupe here, Sister Modupe, Raw Vegan Soul Food Show. We're having some technical difficulties, so we're on now, all right? We're here. I'm so glad you're there. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to have a wonderful show. As always, I'm excited. So you should know that my husband's going to be my special guest again today, because we're going to talk about our experiences, finding out how to elevate and expand and be the best vegan we can. Like I said, we're going to give you at least 5 great steps, great ways to be the best vegan you can be. Because guess what? There's unhealthy vegans out there. You hear that? That's right. Even people who are raw vegans can be unhealthy, right? Because if you're not doing the best food, the best way for you, your body, whatever, problems, issues. So I'm going to turn it over to my husband. Remember the other show we did, and he talked about why and how he went to vegan, being a vegan, right? But today we're going to find out his trial and tribulations, some more details about his trials and tribulations, because you all, let me tell you, he was being a vegan when I met him, but it's what I want to call an interesting vegan, and maybe not, let's just say he had some elevation in the health department or what he had on his menu for vegan, okay? And remember, he wanted to be a raw vegan too. So, you know, when I met him, he was elevating around that, trying to figure out how to do that. Remember, he was, let me let him tell you. Brother Bandele, my beautiful, wonderful husband, tell us about your journey and how you got to where you are now and how you eat and where you was when I met you.
Well, greetings, family. Once again, it's such an honor to be here beside Queen, you know, just sharing with you guys our passion and love for health and wellness and thriving and elevating and celebrating life to the fullness. And yes, I did struggle a little bit when I first started out, because one of my favorite so-called vegan spots to go to was Fat Burgers. Oh, because they had this vegan patty inside of Fat Burgers, and so I would go inside there and order my French fries and my vegan burger, and I just thought I was on top of the world. You couldn't tell me nothing that I wasn't no vegan, and I would live in the ultimate vegan lifestyle.
Let me ask you a question though, and this relates to us understanding about how to do this thing, because, whoa, did you all hear the news in Italy this week? There's a legislator there that wants to make it a criminal defense for a person to raise a child as a vegan, a baby, a child, children. That's what I said. Illegal. I'll get to it why in a second. I want to ask King. That's what I call him. He calls me Queen, so I have to have a king, right? Did you ask what that burger was made of?
No, I did not.
They just stamped vegan on it. You was ready.
I knew it was not meat. I knew it was not animal, and so as far as I was concerned, you know, I was in heaven.
Okay. You know? Okay.
And but yet, you know, now now of course this is a new day, new understanding, new insight, a whole nother level. But honestly, my intent was great, but I was completely ignorant of, you know, like so many people, which Queen is going to talk about today, they don't know what they don't know. So that's why I wanted to share my story, because I know a lot of people, they mean well, but they just don't know. And and we have a duty and a responsibility to make sure that people really know the truth, so that they can get the fullness, to match their intent. Yeah.
Okay. So you were eating your fat burger, veggie burger, and your fries, and tell me about your your love affair with cereal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Growing up, I always enjoyed eating cereals on the weekend, watching cartoons. So that was deeply ingrained in my psyche, And even after becoming vegan, I was like, okay, so surely I can continue to, enjoy my cereals. As long as I just make sure that it's gluten-free, make sure that, certain information.
Wait a minute, but you didn't know about gluten-free before we met, right? Before we elevated and all that, okay?
Not at all. I was thinking and believing, actually, because when you believe something, believe me, you got to really be careful of that, because that's your world. And many people, of course, they believe in things that is not really healthy, but it's their world, and you can't tell them no difference until they believe different.
Right. So some days you eat cereal all day.
Yes, but cereals, I was confident about eating cereals because I knew it wasn't animal. I knew it wasn't dairy. And so as far as I knew, I was good. I felt like, I was doing great, but little did I know that I was completely, I was wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you weren't doing the thing that would make you healthiest. Let's put it like that way.
Yes.
Okay. So, and then when he told the story of how he bought a juicer and he was like, oh heaven, I want to elevate and be a raw vegan. Am I going to eat great salads and have to go through this thing with this juicer all the time? So what types of juices were you making?
Well, I understood that greens, spinach, carrots, lettuce, anything that was green, that was live, I knew that there was, it would not hurt me. I knew that it was not meat, and I knew that it was uncooked, and I knew it was healthy.
Well, healthy, that can be, okay. So for example, were you juicing a lot of carrots?
I was juicing carrots, yes.
You were juicing a lot of carrots, probably mostly carrots, because the type of juicer you had wasn't particularly good for juicing greens. Yeah, some people don't realize that, sometimes you need a really more specialized type juicer, more expensive in juicer to juice greens well. So you were doing a lot of carrot juice. We could never tell, right? It was his favorite color being orange. So you were doing a lot of carrot juice?
Yes.
Okay. So what can appear healthy on the surface, vegan, even raw, right, can actually end up not being so good for you, because a lot of people do carrot juice, and carrots are so full of sugar that you really overdo it. And there's even health professionals who say that carrots are just not even a good food for you. There's a whole lot of different opinions and ideas on it. Dr. Sabi, and I do want to take a moment, because he has transitioned at this point. When you see this recording, he's already transitioned, and we want to honor him because he brought a lot of information to help question a lot of things and investigate and think about a lot of things, because that's what you have to do. You want to be a healthy vegan, you better do some research. You don't just accept somebody says, oh, this is vegan so you can eat it. You know what? Sugar is vegan. Sugar is vegan, but that doesn't make it good for you, okay? Even raw sugar, because again, it's something you don't want to overindulge in. It's still sugar. Even if it's coconut sugar, you still don't want to sit down and eat a lot of it, because it's hard on the body. It may have some nutrients more than, say, cane sugar and not be GMO'd, but still it's too much sugar. Okay, so back to this. So he's told us about some of his trials and tribulations and where he's elevated from, but he's an adult. And so when he became a vegan, was an adult, right? He grew up eating a certain way with his family, and obviously they nourished him well in some ways, because he's healthy now and getting healthier and healthier and healthier. But there are things I mentioned earlier about the Italian legislature just this past week, because they had a couple babies in Italy and the parents were feeding the children vegan. They wanted the children to be vegan, but we're talking about babies right now. These children needed to be on some kind of formula. So I'm even calling mother's milk formula, which is absolutely the best thing for a child. Every time milk comes into a woman's body, when she's pregnant, she could have 10 different children. That formula will be different because that child has different needs. Similar to all, but some specific things, right? So let's pull up that first link. And like I said, you might think I'm kidding. Italian lawmaker equates vegan diet with child abuse. Do you hear me? But doctors and dietitians say it can be healthy. But you got to know what you're doing. So one of these infants that ended up in the hospital, the family was feeding the child soy milk. I didn't say soy milk formula. I'm just talking about soy milk. Now, I wouldn't tell anybody to do soy unless it's fermented. Again, there's different health practitioners. They tell you don't do any soy. But I only do soy that has been fermented because bacteria act on the soy and it changes it. Back to the baby. You cannot feed a child, even if you had soy milk or almond milk or whatever, that does not have enough nutrition in it for a child. If you're not going to be able to nurse a child, then you've got to make sure you get a special formula that's going to have minerals and all other kind of vitamins and all that kind of thing in it. So that's why that child ended up ill like that. An infant needs a formula, either mother's milk or a specially fortified formula that's going to keep that child healthy because they have a lot of nutritional needs. I mean, come on now, the brain's growing, bones growing, their heart, lungs, all their organs have to get larger, etc., etc. Okay, so now you can do it wrong or you can do it right, or maybe I shouldn't say wrong, right. Let's say you can do it in an unhealthy manner or you can do vegan in a healthy manner. Let's take a look at the next link we have here. Now, how many children end up ill because someone hasn't given them the correct kind of vegan diet, eating lifestyle, the right types of nutrients? Okay, we don't like it to happen to any children, right? But what about the obesity? Now, this is on the other end of the spectrum, right? And we know this is a huge problem, right? And it's not about, the kid, oh, they look so cute, they're chubby and all that. The thing this article points out is that it's set to create future health problems. I read an article some time ago, and it said by the time young people are about 20, many of them have started to have heart disease. They may not know it yet, but they're eating so many starches, they're eating food with no nutrition in it, pizza, chips, french fries, burgers, hot dogs, all these types of foods that not only don't have nutrition, but a lot of additives and colorings, dyes, and all that type of thing, preservatives, and it's wreaking havoc on the body. It just might not show up in an obvious manner until they're older. Okay, so again, we have to understand that you've got to plan and think about what you're giving to your body. You just can't feed things, particularly now too, because the food is so lacking. Okay, so many nutrients are lacking from the food. Minerals, because the soils are poor. And then not only do they not have the nutrients in the food now has so many chemicals in the right joint and a punch to the left, and it's just very, very hard and on the body, right? So eat, whether you're going to be a vegan or if you're just out there and you're following that SAD, the standard American diet, and yes, we call it SAD. That is the reason most people are in the hospital. There's not a whole lot of vegans, vegetarians, right? The numbers are growing, but the vast majority of people are meat eaters and such. And that's who fill the hospitals and the doctor's rooms, doctor's offices and such up with. The ones who are on all the medications and such. So obviously you can say, well, this is the right way to eat because my parents and my forefathers and the whole society, this is how most of us eat. But it doesn't look like it's doing a lot of people any good, right? Okay, so let's look at our next link here. And you know me, I'm coming with the information, right? Okay, so this is the other thing. If you scroll down and look at the chart of meat in this country, stop here. The average American was eating about 184 pounds of meat in 2012. Don't even weigh 184 pounds. You're eating that much in meat. That amount has increased by 3.7 a week. They roughly eat about 193 pounds of beef, pork, or chicken. That's more than 3.5 pounds. That's up from 180. So that is what, 9 more pounds of meat. Okay. Numbers, if you facing, why do people eat whatever you eat? It's supposed to be made in your house. I see people are eating more meat, and you always hear people talking about, oh, you gotta eat protein, it's gonna help keep you from being sick. I don't know. It's happening to me. One something cheaper because they run these animals so quick, them for all these drugs, hormones, things like that. So again, let's look at what you consume and if it's doing you any good. And it needs to do the same thing. If you're having digestive issues, if you're not feeling energized, if your weight's an issue, then you need to eat to get the best out of your eating lifestyle. Because after all, what's it supposed to be about?
Steps.
Eating well to feel great. Okay, so the next article we're going to take a look at talks about how to eat red meat without killing yourself. Okay, so if you have to understand how to eat the meat, which everybody's, a lot of people say, oh, that's great, that's the way to go, that's what we're supposed to be doing. But look, and do it this way and all that kind of thing, and if you didn't really understand how to eat, not to hurt yourself. So don't make it look like just because you're a vegetarian or vegan, that's the only way you need to have to plan and make sure of and da-da-da. Even eaters have to do this kind of thing. So now I said some steps on how to make sure that you're doing vegan the best way you can, right? So even if you're a meat eater, there's some things you need to understand so you're not killing or hurting yourself immediately. Let me put it that way. Because we do what we do because we want long-term health. We want to be full of vitality, and we like to look great too, okay? So one of the first things as a vegan you've got to make sure that you're doing is exclude processed foods, okay? Now, in excluding processed foods, first of all, let's talk about what processed means. Processed means that something has been done to the food to alter it in a way that now you're adding substances to it. That might be preservatives, flavor enhancers, colorings, flavorings, all kinds of. Did I say preservatives? Okay, preservatives, number one of the big things, because they're trying to put things in the store, put them on the shelf, or even in the refrigerator section, and guess what? They want the biggest bang for their dollar. That means that food needs to stay around as long as possible so they can get the most money from it, right? So you want to exclude processed foods, all right? That means things in cans. Some people say if it's in a can, you see what cancer starts with, right? C-A-N. Hey, I didn't say it, somebody else said it first. Okay, so you want foods that are fresh. If you can grow it yourself, that's even better. Go to the farmer's market. Eat what comes in its natural wrapper, right? So why, like a banana, why would you want to eat and not eat something that you can just stand there and peel and know it's in its most natural state, okay? So you want to have that as the majority of the food you eat, unprocessed. And we do a lot of raw. He does all raw. I do a lot of raw. And I do that because I know I'm going to get all the nutrients that occur in that food without getting all the additives somebody else put in it. If you didn't make it yourself, you don't know what's in it, okay? Be honest, right? Just like if you don't grow it yourself, you can't be absolutely sure what's in the food either. There's a lot of people talking about organics are not what people are saying they are. And I do know that sometimes they allow them to put things on that food even that we don't want, right? It's becoming more and more adulterated. Grow as much of your own food you can. Okay, so processed food, cut it out. 100% is the best thing. Okay, the next thing to do is how you prepare that fresh, great food, okay? Fried food is not good for you. You know, our black and brown people are at the top of a lot of lists for poor health. And even in the South, even Anglos are on those lists too, because they fry a lot of stuff down there. They're known as big barbecuers. And those two processes destroy most of the nutrients in the food, and in addition, now make the food harmful to you. Not only are you consuming it and it doesn't have the nutrition in it, okay, vitamin C, boop, gone. As soon as you start heating anything, the vitamin C is destroyed. A lot of other vitamins too. But now you're adding things to the food that are a horrible burden and cause dis-ease in the body. When you fry things, you have to turn that oil, that grease, whatever, up to a very high temperature. And it makes the oil now horrible for your body. It causes free radicals. And I always explain, instead of going into the chemistry, it's like you've just swallowed a machine gun and it's going off, da-da-da-da-da-da, just causing repeated damage. That is what the oil does. It causes that heated oil. And even other oils, because even before it's heated, quite often it's rancid. It's already old and bad. You know, with canola oil, that is a horrible poison. And a lot of people are eating it because it's cheap. They're putting it in everything. Canola oil is horrible for your body. It smells so bad. By the time they get through processing it, they actually deodorize that oil. I'm telling you, look up, do some research. If you can find online an article, I found it, I'm sure you can find it, that it described the process of getting the oil out of the canola seed or whatever, and it showed the high heat and temperature, the chemicals they have to use to extract it, and then it smells so bad at the end of the process that they have to actually deodorize it. And they actually do that with other oils too. If you buy an olive oil, they sometimes, if it's not extra virgin olive oil, it still may be somewhat old because you don't know how much air exposure it's had, right? But there are different grades of olive oil, and it's really older stuff, kind of like the last mashing of those olives, or they've had to chemically extract that oil. Now it doesn't smell good. It might not even taste really good. They can put some deodorizers or flavor stabilizers or something in it, and here you go by it and think you're doing something good for the body. You're actually poisoning yourself. Let's just call it what it is, right? Okay, so again, the first thing is get rid of that processed food. The second thing is how you prepare the food. So frying it is very bad. Whether it's a cauliflower, even if you're frying a piece of cauliflower, it still is not good for you. Now we're going to talk about barbecuing. Now there's a little difference between putting vegetables on the grill and meats. And the thing is, because the fats in the meat become, what do you call it? Charred and carcinogenic. I know we're talking about vegan, but I want to try and bring get some people to understand who are not vegans out there why we don't consume those types of things. We don't want to be poisoning ourselves. So you got to forget about this thing talking about taste all the time, right? Ooh, it tastes so good. What is it doing to your health? Okay, so barbecuing those meats, it causes them to create carcinogenic chemicals in them, which are very, of course, obviously very bad for you. Okay, so not processed food, not frying or barbecuing food. What would you say? What would you think is one of the next steps to making sure that you're eating a healthy vegan?
To make sure that it has enzymes.
Okay.
Make sure that there's enzymes in the food. That's the science. That's what makes sense to me as far as being raw vegan, is that I have my own enzymes that my body produces, and food has its own enzymes. So I'd rather for food to bring the enzymes as far as digestion than for it to take from my body's ability, because that's like, I believe it's like a life force. And so I don't like to tap into that bank. I like to keep that where it is, and then just bring in the right food that, and give thanks for its sacrifice. And it works great, feeling good, and yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's again a substance that you preserve when you don't process the food or heat the food, and you get the food as fresh as possible. It's alive because it has these enzymes in them, and so you're adding to your body's store of material and helping it to make it easier to digest and all of that. So fresh food, okay? So not processed, not cooking things to death, and eating fresh food so that you get those substances that are alive, like the vitamin. Like I say, vitamin C. You need a lot of vitamin C every day. You heat up that food, there it's gone, and you want it as fresh as possible. So that's 4 things. So a 5th thing I would say to keep yourself very, very healthy are the other types of foods that you shouldn't eat, even though they're vegan. Okay? So top on that list are gluten-containing foods. Okay? Gluten causes problems in the body. It actually destroys your digestive tract and things like that. And so you're saying, well, gluten, what are you talking about? So I'm talking about things like wheat, barley, rye, kamut, spelt. Those things have a protein that's called gluten. It's what makes when you use that flour from those grains, it's what makes them stretchy, like rubber bandy kind of thing, like your bread is chewy and things like that. That's the gluten. That's a certain protein in those particular grains, and it's very, very destructive to the body. And I would even now put corn on that list because corn doesn't have that kind of gluten protein, but now corn is just so GMO'd and so many chemicals used to grow it. If you can grow some yourself, find a farmer who's not using a GMO product and not putting a lot of chemicals on it, then corn might be all right. But make sure that you have a very hearty digestive system because corn is kind of hard, can be hard to digest. And the only way to get the benefit of the nutrition in corn is to eat it raw. And it's delicious. You cut it off the cob and it's full of the milk and very, very delicious. Okay, it's a whole different experience than boiling it to death or even charring it on a grill. So not to include the gluten containing grains. And grains are such a dense food. Most of us do not do the kind of physical work to burn those calories up. So that is my top 5 ways to be the best healthy vegan that you can. Some other things that I might also suggest are when you're eating your nuts and seeds. Those are vegan, but should you be eating them roasted and oil and all of that? No. You want to eat your nuts and seeds raw, however you want to soak them first so that you can get rid of some of the enzyme inhibitors on them so they're much easier to digest and easier to chew and things like that, okay? So let's look at that next link. Okay, changing our taste buds. You have to give yourself time to understand you're changing the way you eat, so some things may not taste good to you, all right? Because you haven't eaten them in their fresh live state. You haven't eaten that much of them. So for example, King's sister is here. She's changing how she eats, but she's not used to some of the bitter flavor of something like greens, some types of greens and such. But it's very important because greens are so dense, they're excellent for getting your quote-unquote amino acids, or what people call proteins. Yes, greens have a complete amino acid sequence of what you need that you can't produce in your body. So they're a great source of quote-unquote protein. So the thing with your taste buds changing is it takes a few weeks, and then all of a sudden now you don't like all that sugar. You don't like all that salt, you know, that table salt and such, okay? So you give yourself a chance to change into eating healthier things in your taste buds. After a while, you start appreciating them. And now what you thought was all rich and stuff, now you're talking about, ooh, that's greasy. Oh, that's going to make my stomach upset, because now you don't have a desire to eat those kinds of things. So remember that it is possible. It is really easy, but you have to give yourself a chance to adapt and to elevate. I'm learning new things every day. I'm elevating and expanding my way to be healthier, and I love it. I don't get up in the morning. I'm not on medications. I'm almost 60, and I'm just getting better and better and better, and I love it. So we plan to have a happy, long, full of vitality. As a matter of fact, we're going out for our daily celebration, another show done, exercise, walk, run. I don't know. Oh, yeah, look for us on Instagram. We'll show you where we are around the LA area at Snapchat. We'll be walking somewhere, walking up a hill, running down one, walking at the beach, doing something. Get up and move. You got to feel good by keep doing the right things for your body, okay? So we love you. We thank you so much for joining us today. And I am 90forlife.com, www.iam90forlife.com. Woohoo! Get those supplements in, because our body needs the help, because the food just does not have all the nutrition, but you still want to eat the best way you can, okay? So anything you want to add, Sue?
We just want to once again let y'all know that we do it for the love of you, and I'm so thankful that the universe has blessed us with Queen, because the life and the love and the knowledge and education that she's bringing you guys, it can change your life, and that's what we're here to do. It's to elevate and to expand together.
All right.
Peace and love, y'all.
All right. Peace and blessings. Check you next time.
after lifetime, forever. Surviving from the strength of our